Spending nearly 40,000 Chrono Crystals just to guarantee a single copy of the featured unit? That's not a pity system, that's a punishment. Hey, Dreamy here, and let's talk about why Dragon Ball Legends pity system is basically broken, and what exactly needs to change for the 7th anniversary. Stick around for the full video and I'll let you decide whether I deserve your like and subscription. To understand the problem though, we need to go back to before the Dragon Ball Legends pity system was even introduced. OGs would take a look back at the YouTuber Rhymestyle and his never-ending summons for LF Super Vegito, nearly 6 years ago during Legends' first anniversary. This became a prime example of the kind of situations the pity system in Legends was supposed to prevent. A lack of a guarantee is scary when you're talking about a game of pure chance, as even though it may be improbable, you're not immune to excessive amounts of bad luck that's simply out of your control that may prevent you from pulling the featured unit even after dozens of tries. The introduction of the pity system in Legends nearly 4 years ago now did a great job of sniping that feeling of uncertainty out of the air. The system felt like it was a massive and overall refreshing improvement back then. It brought Legends up to the standards set by newer and more modern gacha games of that time, which provided friendlier pity systems which allowed all players to get a featured character guaranteed after a set amount of pulls. Players finally had a sense of security after years of painful RNG that guaranteed basically nothing. The system was obviously meant to reward commitment and spending with a guaranteed featured unit, and it accomplished that to some effect. Going back to the Rhymestyle example, people who have summoned a lot, mostly whales and players who had a lot of money to spend, were at least guaranteed to get a copy of the coveted featured character even if they had bad luck with their summons on those units' banners. But somewhere along the line, mainly in its development at least I'd assume, something went horribly wrong. Right off the bat, this pity system was already too expensive and not free-to-play friendly whatsoever. It required around 40k CC at the time, give or take. The banner formats were a bit different back then, so I don't want to seem so certain with the exact number to get a single copy from the pity exchange shop. Nowadays, it takes exactly 39,200 Chrono Crystals just to get one featured unit. From the Legend Step-Up banners, this being one of them, at least one that shares the exact same format with Legend Step-Up banners, and as you can see, the pity system has not changed one bit. Even today, we can still see the exact same situation right in front of our eyes here. And the problem with that is that the game, still to this day, limits free-to-play Chrono Crystals at 20,000. So basically, when you get 20,000 free-to-play Chrono Crystals, you can't exchange for more in like a raid exchange shop, in a PvP exchange shop, or in a co-op exchange shop. You need to actually spend it, lower it below the cap so that you can then exchange for more. My current account is a great example of this. I actually went for one rotation on, I believe it was Super Saiyan 4 Daima Goku's banner. You can see that I'm already on step 2 here, and that's because I did go for one full rotation. I actually went for this whole rotation just because my CC already hit the cap, and I didn't want the ones still up for exchange to go to waste, namely from the ones from the raids that are still currently active as of recording this video. This means the only real way I have to participate in the Summon Pity system as a free-to-play player, at least to get the coveted reward, which would be the featured LF, or basically either of the featured units, it doesn't really matter, is to essentially use up all of my CC, capped at 20k by the way, used into one banner, and then farm an additional 20,000 Chrono Crystals somehow, and then pump all of those Chrono Crystals into that same banner. It's ridiculous to me that a nearly 7-year-old game still puts a cap on their freemium currency. And that freemium currency, right, I'm talking about Chrono Crystals, those were earned legitimately through the events and content that the devs themselves provided. And yeah, if I do pull off that 40k Chrono Crystal miracle, I could guarantee myself the featured LF, and so you could say that the pity system technically works. But compared to a game, even a game like 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross, as dead of a game as that is right now, the pity system is incredibly unfriendly to free-to-play players, I'm talking about Dragon Ball Legends here, and limiting the exchange to just one banner before the saved coins disappear forever also gets rid of any long-term options for free-to-play and low-spending players who may want to get those units later down the line. There is no way to actually exchange for a Super Saiyan 4 Goku later in the future, say for example during Legends Festival 2025, because the important thing that we need to see here is that if we try to go to the exchange shop, we'll find that something long-term that you can save to spend later to get characters, like Legends tickets for example, are completely out of date, right? We have no way of actually getting them other than by spending money, I'm pretty sure. And so now the Essentially, the only pity system that free-to-play players can access is the one that's very limited to just one banner and is very difficult to reach the target goal of what you're trying to get. Taking examples from other gacha games, there are two ways to make an efficient pity system. One is the limited pity, sort of like this, restricted to one banner that's much more reachable, supposed to be much more reachable, even for free-to-play players, like the one used in Grand Cross with 20 multis, I believe. That would count as 20 multis, one of the featured characters who is not a festival, and 30 multis for a festival character. It's kind of like that format. And then Dokkan also does the same thing for a lot of the bigger celebrations like Anniversary, right? Like with the red coins that have like a colorful outline to them, that's what I'm talking about. And the other way would be to have a long-term pity, similar to how Legends tickets are supposed to be, where the required cost for pity would be built up gradually. You'd accumulate it over time, allowing you to fill in the blanks of your roster later down the line, even after the sought-after characters banner has already passed. Dokkan uses this system with the basic red and yellow coins, which you can see just by opening the game, and Grand Cross also has a similar mechanic with their coin shop, where whenever there's like a really big celebration, they put up the coins, the dupes basically, the meta LFs of that game, meta LF equivalents I suppose, and you can essentially trade out those dupes to get different LFs, different festival characters. And it's only there for a limited time, but it's basically guaranteed to show up on every big celebration, so you have that guarantee along with you. Knowing that other well-known gacha games still have a better pity system than Legends to this day is weird. I definitely think that the devs could easily take inspiration from other games to fine-tune this feature, a feature that's pretty important for a large part of the player base. So, how do we fix it, especially with the 7th anniversary coming? The pity should be treated more as a real reward rather than a last resort. I have a short talking about this, but I'll make it clearer with this video. I need to remind you all that the main issue here is the difficulty of getting the featured character and them specifically, so it would be Goku Youth and Jackie Chun in this case. I don't have any issue with the rest of the exchange shop. I think it's a perfectly fine set of extra rewards for people who want to get more value out of the CC they've spent on the banner. But here, mathematically speaking here, right, actually, if it costs 50 coins to get 600 Z power, as you can see here, then it should only cost 8.33 coins to get 100 Z power, which is just about enough to unlock the featured unit at 0 stars. If the devs wanted to be stingy, they could easily increase the cost to 10 coins. And considering that the 1% sparking is almost always less sought out after than the featured LF, I think their 100 Z power should cost 9 coins instead. Overall, that's a much more affordable cost to unlock these units. And even then, at their low limit break level, these units will be sitting ducks in PvP, but being able to secure the unit in your account is what's important here. We could just use the multi-Z power provided in the various events to build that unit from the ground up ourselves. With my suggested model, you only need to spend 7,200 CC to get the featured unit, which is undebatably far and away better than the 39,200 CC to get them at 3 stars instantly. I think getting them at 0 stars for a much lower price, less than a fifth of it, is much more worth it. That's just me though. And you might bring up the argument that like, oh, the devs are just greedy and they want you to spend real money in the shop. But I don't think that a better pity system necessarily stops that from happening. In fact, it could support the sales of various bundles in the shop. Think about it. Let's say that some low spender gets the featured unit via pity, say Demon King Piccolo for example, and then they get Demon King Piccolo at 0 stars with my version of the pity system, and then now they want to build up their 0-star Demon King Piccolo fast. With the LF multi-Z power that you can find in the pity exchange shop, their first impulse, this player's impulse, would obviously be to top up their Chrono Crystals via the shop, only to see that the bundles offered during this particular celebration or whatever season that we're in features CC bundled along with LF multi-Z power. All of a sudden, this low spender is paying money in the shop to get LF multi-Z power and then pumping the CC bundled with it into the banner to get even more LF multi-Z power. It's just a hypothetical example, but it shows how a good pity system can be designed to synergize with the shop, enticing spending players while still leaving players who don't want to touch the shop at all, especially those who have diligently saved their CC, myself included, to still be able to have a satisfying summoning experience. This kind of transparent fairness is something that could really drive long-term spending for the game. Now let's wrap it up with why this change matters now more than ever. All eyes will be unquestionably on Legends during the 7th anniversary. With a fair, modernized, and overall revamped pity system, all of the loyal players' trust in the game would be restored, at least somewhat, right? In terms of seeing that the devs can take care of the pity system, make it better for the players, that's trust restored right there, while players who have taken a break from the game will have more reason to return because they see, oh, you know, now the game isn't as stingy anymore. Now the game appreciates my effort of farming CC and getting a character. Right now, getting a character from the summon system becomes a lot easier, and I don't have to rely on pure chance, even if my Chrono Crystals don't hit double the cap of free-to-play Chrono Crystals, right? That's just one of the points right there. And not to mention, there's a greater chance for brand new players to continue enjoying the game after they've downloaded it and played it for like the first week, because they know that their efforts in the gacha system of the game are well rewarded, as they could see from their first impression of the game's pity system. Legends really has the chance to stand out in the gacha space and not fall behind. The pity system can work, absolutely, it just needs to be fixed. But that's just my take. How many Chrono Crystals do you think is fair to get a guaranteed copy of a featured unit? Mine, again, would be 7,200, but what's your take? Let me know. If you want to watch more of my content, you can find an example of just how bad summoning luck can get with this video I made from last year's Legends Festival, and if you agree with what I've said in this video, let me know in the comments down below as well. That being said, I think that's gonna do it for this video. Bye, thanks for watching, never stay perfect, always get better. Peace.